Welcome to The Explainer, everyone. Today, we're diving straight into one of the most fascinating and, let's be real, frustrating dualities in gaming history. We're looking at Dark Souls' Lost Izalith. It's a place that simultaneously holds the game's most tragically epic lore and, well, its most notoriously rushed, painful gameplay. We're going to unpack exactly how a masterpiece stumbled so hard and what the community did to fight back against a disaster of truly apocalyptic proportions. Let's just start by validating a universal truth here. If you've played this game, you have felt the intense, burning pain of the bed of chaos. Looking at the community discussions, quotes exactly like this one they're absolutely everywhere. Dark Souls is famous for being tough but fair, right? The bed of chaos, on the other hand, is just tough and completely unfair. It fundamentally breaks the rules of gameplay that the rest of the game works so hard to establish. So what happens when a game's most epic, mythic lore just collides head-on with a strict, real-world deadline? That brings us to the absolute core of our explainer today. We're essentially looking at two parallel narratives. On one hand, an incredible in-universe disaster of apocalyptic proportions, and on the other, a real-world development failure caused by a ticking clock. To truly understand this area, we have to look at both the fiction and the reality. Section 1. The Lore of Izalith, a Tragic Ambition. Okay, the sheer scale of this tragedy is staggering. Basically, a desperate, honestly misguided ambition to sustain the Age of Fire ended up completely dooming an entire civilization. The Witch of Izalith tried to duplicate the first flame, but instead she accidentally unleashed the flame of chaos. It literally melted their ancient, beautiful stone city into a volcanic ruin and violently mutated its inhabitants. And man, the lore here gets incredibly bleak. Her family, known as the Children of Chaos, suffered horrific fates. Now, two daughters, Quilana and Grana, narrowly escaped without mutating, but the rest, not so lucky. Her only son, Ceaseless Discharge, was turned into this massive magma monster stuck in constant agony, endlessly grieving over his sister's robes. Quelaag and the Fair Lady became horrific spider demons. And two unnamed daughters were brutally sacrificed just to become the root-like chains holding that chaotic core together. Right at the dead center of this tragedy is the witch herself. She didn't just die, actually. She was transformed, completely molded by her own creation, into the terrifying bed of chaos. She became this twisted, monstrous life form that literally serves as the origin point, like the spawning bed for all chaos demons in the world. Conceptually, absolutely awe-inspiring. Section 2. A rushed development nightmare. But stepping out of the epic lore and into the actual game, wow, the contrast is staggering. Instead of an epic descent into a complex, fallen empire, you're greeted with vast stretches of completely flat ground that blind you with glowing lava. The environment is notoriously unfinished. Like, if you point your camera down right before the boss fog, you can literally just see straight through the missing floor into the gray skybox below. The community, completely recognizes this rushed reality. Just look at the enemy placement. The area is littered with dozens of these glitchy, copy-pasted undead dragon halves, what the community affectionately, or maybe a bit bitterly, calls dragon buds. It's absurd. Even the area's mid-boss, the Demon Fire Sage, it's literally just a red recolor of the game's tutorial boss. The whole thing screams of a desperate scramble to fill an empty map before the game shipped. Section 3. The worst boss fight. The Bed of Chaos. So instead of a satisfying skill-based combat encounter that tests the mechanics you've mastered over the last, 40 hours, the Bed of Chaos forces you into this incredibly clunky puzzle. The goal isn't to deplete a health bar. Nope. You have to run to the far left and right sides of the arena to strike two vulnerable glowing roots, and then make a blind leap of faith into its center. Honestly, your main enemy here isn't the boss, it's gravity. Looking at its moveset, it's designed purely for frustration. It uses these massive, sweeping branch arms that effortlessly knock you right into the crumbling floor. And because the floor physically breaks away to reveal bottomless pits as the fight progresses, one hit from that double swipe doesn't just damage you, it pushes you straight into the abyss for an instant death. To make matters worse, you can't just stand back and nuke it with spells. Its elemental defense to fire, magic, and lightning is essentially infinite. I mean, sure, that makes thematic sense for the mother of all pyromancy, but it completely invalidates certain character builds. You are strictly forced to play its deadly, janky platforming game. So the crucial takeaway here is that when you combine instant death pets with sweeping branches, you're going to die. A lot. And the run back to the boss after instantly dying, oh man, it's an agonizing, tedious chore through a blinding lava field. Like this user pointed out, it breaks the spirit of even the most dedicated players. It really becomes an exercise in pure patience rather than skill.
Section 4. Cheesing the Bed of Chaos.
But hey, here is where we rise back up. The player base engineered these brilliant, maybe slightly vindictive ways to take back control and just bypass this mechanical mess entirely. For those who want it over in seconds, there's the famous Toki Bomb strategy. Basically, you dash straight down the middle to a safe spot under the boss's face, you aim a bow to a specific visual marker on the right, throw a firebomb, immediately aim left, throw a second bomb, and just roll forward to the core. Boom, done in seconds.
And the absolute most brilliant part of this? The bow is purely a UI hack. You don't actually fire a single arrow. Honestly, you don't even need the required stats to wield the bow. The game simply slaps a crosshair on your screen when you aim, and players exploit that as a makeshift targeting reticle to calculate the exact parabolic arc for the firebombs. I mean, it is just genius. Now, if you don't want to spend time practicing precise bomb throws, there is another incredibly popular workaround, the save and quit method. Players essentially weaponize the game's own autosave feature against it. Once you break a node, the game saves that progress permanently. So you break the left node, literally pause and quit the game, and when you reload, bam, you're safely deposited right back outside the boss fog. You do this for each node, completely avoiding that deadly trek across the collapsing floor. This quote right here, it perfectly captures the dynamic. The Bed of Chaos feels like this unfair, rule-breaking cheese against the player, so the community collectively agreed, yeah, it is morally acceptable to cheese it right back. It's absolutely a dish best served with maximum exploits. Ultimately, this dual tragedy of Lost Izalith leaves us with a really fascinating thought. Yes, the developers ran out of time, and yeah, they compromised their epic lore with terrible level design, but in doing so, they created an obstacle so notoriously bad that overcoming it through shared community knowledge and brilliant exploits became a cultural milestone in itself. So, what do you think? When a developer's vision fails, does the player's creative rebellion become the game's true lasting legacy? It's definitely something to chew on the next time you find yourself stuck in a game's worst level.